Hi, I'm Dr. Mel Lurie, a physician specializing in psychiatry and author of the book Psyche Politics: How to Read the Political Mind. You know, what happened in Aurora is really a tragedy that has shocked the nation. The reflexive solution usually is, let's control guns, which really means let's have less guns, at least less guns in the hands of potential victims. Now just stop a second and ask yourself, what would have happened if just one member of that entire movie audience would have had a gun and used it? Even though that shooter was cloaked in armor, do you really think he wouldn't have backed off at all? Think about it. Do you really not think there would have been less than 12 dead and less than 51 injured? And you know, this shooter was really the only one that was cloaked in armor. Most of these tragedies happen when the shooter's not cloaked in armor and one shot really would not just make him back off, but put him down. Now stop again for a moment. Stop and try to put yourself in the mind of a potential shooter, mass murderer, even mugger or rapist. Just stop for a moment, really, and try to put yourself in their minds. If you were going to go out and commit a crime, one of the first things you'd want to know is whether the victim had a weapon, if there were anyone else there to protect the person. That's why usually crimes are committed against isolated individuals. So perhaps the solution to the problem is not less guns, but maybe even more in the hands of the general population. Well, what can politics do about this? One is education about guns. Right now, as less and less people have guns, they're more and more afraid of them, and they should be. But with education, with knowing how guns work, how to handle them safely, how to lock them up, how to put on one safety after another, there'll be less anxiety, less fear about guns. The more people have guns, the more there's a collective deterrent against crime. So the inevitable question of psyche politics is, why don't politicians do something about this? Well, political leaders, now anyway, are running for office, and even when they're not running for office, it's too big a risk. There's too big a movement to control guns. But you know, there are other political leaders, the non-politician political leaders. Yes, I'm referring to the press, for one. You know, there are political talk shows on the air all the time. There are political columns in the newspapers all over. Don't you think the press has a role in politics? You know, many ideas are thrown around in those talk shows, and I haven't heard one talking about educating the public to have more guns, and thus to have a deterrent solution against the horrors of Aurora.